Hello, everyone, and welcome to Phoenix Gaming Puzzle Book Frosthaven's solution series. So we're on the third puzzle in the puzzle book, not counting the side puzzle, which I haven't gotten to yet, on puzzle pages 6 and 7. If you are not interested in spoilers, go away now. If you're curious about what this whole video series is about, check out the introduction video in the link below in the description. But we are just talking about this puzzle today, so we're going to go ahead and dive into it. I recommend you shut off this video at this point if you're not here for exactly that purpose. All right, here we are with the puzzle that is on pages 6 and 7. We've got a laser situation with a bunch of dowels, things that are presented in a way, and they do show that there is kind of a reflection going on off of that block right there with the white line going across and then the yellow kind of reflection going off of it. So it is clear that white light kind of takes on some personality of the things that it touches. We've got a bunch of different colors here along the way: yellow, green, orange, purple, and blue, which, you know, on the surface are not colors that we've seen in Frosthaven. They don't match up with the elements or anything like that. So nothing too obvious for us there. Without any further ado, we're going to start talking about hint number 1. Hint number 1 is that these are indeed freaking lasers. As it indicates in that image right there, you are going to draw lines and kind of reflect them off of each other, off of these blocks, these walls, whatever you want to call them, and they're going to kind of move along the way as you're doing that. So sort of your intuition, I think, makes a lot of sense here, and there's clearly, it starts as white light, so the white blocks are maybe a little bit different than the ones with color, and there's only a singular black one, so that one also seems maybe a little bit exceptional in that kind of way. So those are things to maybe get you started on this puzzle. Hint number 2 is that you need precision in this puzzle, but it's more like the intention of the precision, I think, than the actual angle. I was so frustrated with this puzzle. I scanned a copy of it because it's on 2 pages, right? And so pages kind of bend. So I was frustrated, scanned a copy of it, sent it to my brother, who is much better at Photoshop than I am, and had him measure the angles of each of the measurements. I don't think you really need to do that. I was just kind of stuck for other reasons that I'll get to later. But it can be helpful if you are not terribly good at drawing with straight lines. I mean, frankly, you could put, the side of some book on the side of a ruler or whatever, and I think you could kind of eyeball it and probably get to where you need to go. But if you're not that great at drawing, you might want to consider doing this in a digital program. For the third hint, you then, after you've drawn these, you want to look closely at the patterns. And when I say patterns, I do mean sort of the individual lasers, right? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different lasers coming out. Each of them is going to draw their own thing. Look closely at those patterns. Those patterns are meant to signal something very significant. Keep in mind what it is that you are ultimately looking for in this puzzle, and that can help you kind of take a look, again, kind of more in the gestalt, right? You're stepping back and trying to consider what each of these images could be for you. To be very clear, it is the patterns of each of the things, no crossovers, nothing like that, which will lead us then to hint number 4, because even once you have that, you can't get yourself a solution. You need to recognize that the background art here matters a fair amount. So there's something kind of special or unique about this background art that there wasn't necessarily on the other ones. It's a pretty significant, clear, how about this? It's a pretty unique image associated with certain kinds of things. And so you need to use that to guide you. And hint 5 might be helpful for you if you're still stuck at that point. This was the thing that got me completely, is that you need to use non-puzzle book text to solve this. I knew from the beginning of the puzzle book that this could be a part of it. This is the first puzzle that really asks you to go outside of the puzzle book to get the pieces. So you can do sort of the first parts with the lasers without this, and then this second part here can kind of connect the final dots for you. All right, for working through our solution here, we are going to be using everybody's favorite program, Paint. We're going to do a kind of rough job here just to make sure that we have sort of an idea of what this is supposed to be looking like after you're drawing the lasers. But we'll start off with this yellow guy here who comes down to this other yellow guy, and then from there sort of like reflects off to this white guy here, and then bounces over to this purple fella over here. And then we'll continue, essentially, I assume at this point, as a purple one that will bounce to over here. This purple one will then bounce to over here. We don't think that white blocks do anything, so it's going to bounce to over here. And actually, we get a kind of hilarious solution where this, I guess, comes here, and then da-da-da-da, and now we've got this bouncing. And this is the part of this that, like, annoys me, is that this probably is meant to go here, I suppose. And this is the kind of, like, these angles can't be trusted part of this puzzle. Or, you know, perhaps I've misidentified the rules and the yellow laser is intended to stop at purple. But either way, I know that this is what it's supposed to look like. So that's kind of what we have going on there. Here for the green laser, oops, it's not green yet. We want it to be white. We're going to start off white here. Then we're going to turn into a green laser, which we assume is going to go up to this other green laser. And then this green laser is going to bounce down to this black one, which either is going to reflect off or not, but it kind of hits it directly on anyway. So that's sort of our green laser right there. All right, now we've got another white laser that's bouncing to another white location. This white location is bouncing to yet another white location. This white location is bouncing yet over here to this black location. Got this kind of Z pattern going on there with the white light. All right, and moving down to our fifth laser here, we've got one that hits our blue laser over here. So we're going to start drawing our blue laser. That's a pretty severe bounce off, so we're going to take this blue laser to bounce here, blue laser to bounce here, blue laser to bounce here, and then it hits the black one, and then either it continues or doesn't, but it's supposed to, I guess, stop at this point. And then we've got finally our last laser, which goes like so to orange, then from orange to here, and down here. And then finally, orange is going to hit this one. And again, I guess this is not intended to bounce off because it doesn't have that color repetition there. So that's sort of the structure. You can tell my tone of voice. I don't love this puzzle for a handful of reasons. But now we have this. And when I said look at the patterns, there's a couple kind of most curious things that you can see here. And that is the yellow. If you look at the yellow and you flip it upside down, it's pretty distinctly a 4. You can also argue that the purple here is certainly a 0. I don't think you could argue that the green is, well, you could argue the green's a 7. The green's certainly a 7. The blue here is like a backwards 3. The orange there is either a 2 or a 5, depending on what you would consider to be like up or sideways. So we've got a handful of numbers that are presented here, and we know we want 3 numbers. So you need to, as I said in the hints, go to the text in order to solve. So maybe you're like us and we then proceeded to, once we had received the hint, because we did not, well, I'll take it back. We knew that something was going on with the background of this picture because it was distinct. We read the introductory text. We looked at the pictures on the map and everything like that. Turns out that the place that you're looking, and again, I'm spoiling this very directly, the place that you are looking is the final text, the completion text out of the scenario, not the scenario book, but the section booklet, the completion text of the final scenario of this spire, the top of the spire, scenario 34. When you complete that, the text says the following in the conclusion. The great beam of energy flickers. It flashes yellow, blue, orange, and then goes out. So we're meant to, at this point, take yellow 4, blue 3, orange 5, and then that will give us 43.5, which leads us to our puzzle solution for this section of the puzzle book. All right, so my opinions on this puzzle. I really was frustrated by this puzzle. Part of it, admittedly, is that it was sort of the first puzzle that asked you to go outside of the bounds of the puzzle book, and that was part of it. The problem that I had is that the physicality of this puzzle, the fact that drawing across the booklet was a pain in the butt, even doing it digitally, it was unclear what the images were. I also think that while some of those numbers that are presented in the lasers are readable, I think some of them are extremely suspicious. There also is really nothing in this puzzle that indicates that black is a dead end. White continues to reflect the same color that it does previously, but if you have a laser hit a spot of a different color, it stops drawing. So what I was doing for a lot of the time was when I had, for instance, the orange laser hit the blue block, it then turned into a blue laser. And so my board was a lot more chaotic in drawing that out. I tried all sorts of different ways of drawing, different kinds of angles, a little bit more liberal. That thing that I drew with like the purples that kind of like feed in on themselves, like does the yellow go here and stop or does it keep going? I think that the way that the angles come in are not consistent across the different blocks. I found this to be extremely frustrating from a physical perspective. I also think that while it was clear to me that it was benchmarked, that there was something to do with the scenarios that were involved, the fact that it was inside of a completion text of one of the scenarios was extremely frustrating, because it meant that I essentially I read through every single scenario introduction and then needed to like find all of the corresponding like where you would go in each of them. If that theme of yellow, orange, and blue had been more prevalent, because this spire laser thing is in all of the scenarios. If it had been more prevalent in each of the scenarios, I would be, I think, a little bit more forgiving. But the fact that it is only mentioned in this one section of all the scenarios that are part of this meant that there was a lot of trawling through text, and I didn't even have images that would make sense of the yellow, blue, orange at that point in time. We got completely stumped by this puzzle. Only by cheating online were we able to get our answer. If you're having this conversation, if you're watching this video at this point, you probably have had a similar experience to me. But to me, this was one of the more frustrating puzzles that I had throughout the booklet. But maybe that's just a personal thing. I hope you had a better time with it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope this was helpful, and see you at the next video.